Weltcup of Darts. Aktuell ist er die Nummer 28 der Welt. Hier ist the original K.Anderson!
Won't wanna leave, you see now, this is a new day. Solid rock, standing on sacred ground, living on borrowed time, and the winds of change, they're blowing down. This time is only a few, but unity for all, future generations.
Er bekommt zu tun mit einem Mann aus England, 34 Jahre alt, heuer im Finale bei den Czech Open und im Viertelfinale beim World Matchplay und bei den German Darts Open sowie beim Masters. Hier ist die Nummer 17 der Welt, The Bullet, Stephen Bunting!
To come for you today in the glorious return of Euro Tour action here at the Austrian Darts Championship. It's been away for too long. It nearly made a return with a perfect leg from Jeffrey de Zwaan, who missed double 12 for the 9-darter. But we've seen a whole host of good stuff. Some feisty encounters involving a couple of Austrians. Hannes Schneer losing out to Keegan Brown. Roby John Rodriguez coming from behind to beat Josh Payne. Seen some impressive stuff from a Euro Tour debutant, 17-year-old Adam Gaulas. Saw some excellent stuff from Dimitri van den Berg, the two-time world youth champion. And we've got two big names going head-to-head in the final game of the night. A former champion of the world in the Bullet, Stephen Bunting, a man who's been there and done it in his career and still has plenty more to give, against K.Anderson, a man who missed darts to make the European Championship final a couple of years ago when he was beaten by Michael van Gerwen. The winner of this will face Michael van Gerwen. The Bullet has already made a Euro Tour final this year. He was denied a first title for quite some time when he lost out to Jamie Hughes last time out at the Czech Darts Open in Prague. Can he go on another run here this weekend? Well, it's not going to be easy with the way that the draw has panned out, but the first hurdle itself is a tricky one. K.Anderson, not long back in Europe, having had his sojourn on the World Series, playing in his native Australia and then New Zealand, where, of course, he won the Auckland Darts Masters a couple of years back.
Game on.
And it is the Bullet who has the advantage of throwing first in this one. Rob Malarkey joins me in the commentary box for the final game of the night.
Yeah, great way to round things off. It's been a terrific day one of the Austrian Darts Championship, and a superb evening session. Plenty of stories, as you highlighted at the outset, Dan, and this could be another story in the making as well. Will be interesting to see how much is left in the tank here for Anderson after his trip down under. He was beaten heavily by Simon Whitlock in the quarterfinals in Brisbane, 8-0. Went down 6-5 to the eventual champion Michael van Gerwen in Hamilton, New Zealand. Didn't fare too well either in Melbourne.
85.
Stephen Bunting, having gone so close on the European Tour this year.
135.
To a first PDC stage title in Prague. Squandering that 3-1 lead against Jamie Hughes.
60.
Bunting started this match the slight favourite, 5-4 on or so, pretty much across the board. Anderson the even money of the two.
79.
Yeah, I think Kyle will be disappointed with how the last 3 or 4 weeks have gone back in Australia and New Zealand. There's a guy who's won a World Series event who only come away with 1 quarter-final from the 3 events. It'll be very bit of a letdown, really. That's awkward.
32.
Too awkward in the end for Bunting. Kyle a chance to break.
Back upstairs.
Game shot on the
And there is
first
the break
leg
for
K.Anderson.
Kyle Anderson, who
Second leg is
is
Kyle to
looking
throw
to book
first.
a
Game
not
on.
significant trend, but he's looking to book something of a trend. Bunting has won the majority of their previous encounters. 6-3 the score in the head-to-head standings. Just the one meeting on the European Tour, however, that was in the European match play a couple of years ago in the last 16. Bunting winning that one 6-3 with an average of 103 that day.
You know, if you go back 3 years to this very venue, the Austrian Darts Open, Phil Taylor, of course, won it, beat Michael Smith in the final. But the best player, for my money, in terms of the standard of darts produced over the course of the weekend, was Kyle Anderson. Because not only did he record a victory against Michael van Gerwen, but he was only beaten 6-5 by Taylor despite averaging 105. He'd averaged almost 104 in beating Jelle Klaassen, who was incredible on the Euro Tour at that time. Bunting piles in a 174. He'd seen off Mensur Suljovic in his home country, and he'd averaged more than 97 in beating Ross Smith. He really was unbelievable that weekend, and it was only a savage, narrow defeat to Taylor that ended his run in the semi-finals. Taylor had actually beaten Bunting in the quarters that weekend.
100.
Maybe a return to the multiversum here in Vienna could inspire Kyle Anderson to do something special, but right now he's lost the advantage of throwing first in this leg.
77.
He's not done enough to claw it back.
107.
Treble 17. Nope. So Anderson
55.
can double his lead, but he's going to need 1 treble and 1 in the bull. Treble 19. For 127 and game. And there it is! 127 and game. Kyle Anderson goes 2-0 up.
Game on.
And 3 years ago here in this venue, the bullseye finishing was a theme for Kyle Anderson. He hit 3 against Michael van Gerwen in the standout performance, or certainly the standout win of that weekend.
Yes, setting the tone very nicely, raising the bar very nicely as well. Stephen Bunting hasn't settled in this one at all. His run to the final in Prague catapulted him into the top 10 on the European Tour Order of Merit. It was a great summer for Bunting all round because, of course, in Blackpool he made another match play appearance, 6th successive world match play appearance since his switch from the BDO. Made the last 8 in Blackpool with some
43.
extra time victories. Really worked hard as well, didn't he, to make his way to the last 8. Beat Gerwin Price 13-12 in an epic. Ian White 14-12 was a belter as well. And he was fairly unlucky in losing to Rob Cross 16-14 in the quarters themselves.
Yeah, you got your money's worth if you were going there to watch Stephen Bunting. And they were really good. And I have to say, Rob Cross himself came
74.
off after that game and said, Stephen Bunting is back. The performances he's put in this week here in Blackpool, he's not just here to be a nuisance and, you know, muck about in the sort of top 30 in the world and pick up a few wins here and there and earn a living. He looks like he can really get back to where he was winning titles. Because he's former world champion, world master in the BDO system, the dominant force in the BDO when he was there.
110.
It's on. Ooh, steady. That nearly bust it.
A little bit too close for comfort there for Stephen Bunting, but
78.
he can't find double 16 anyway.
104.
And Anderson, having taken out the 127, is now looking at more orthodox 104.
Oh, yeah, he'll be so frustrated because that looks a really good guide for the
96.
54.
Stephen, you
Wasn't
require
able to use it.
32.
Bunting to hold throw and get on the board. Yep.
Game shot on the third leg. Stephen Bunting. Forward is counted through first. Game on.
Did make a final on the Pro Tour earlier this year as well. At the very start of May, Stephen Bunting, it was his first Pro Tour
57.
final for well over 18 months.
Yeah, and then to back that up with the run at the Czech Open is probably a sign that that wasn't a fluke. Incredible game in the semi-finals and that Pro Tour as well, where he actually stopped the semi-final when Darius Labanauskas was giving him a hiding. They stopped because he wasn't happy with, I think it was a breeze. It was Draftgate Mark II. And then he came back, won every single leg and nicked it.
Yeah, 5-2 down, won it 7-5. Didn't qualify for the first Euro Tour event of this year, but this is his 9th successive appearance.
140.
He's made the final day on 4 further occasions as well, although he has been seeded for some of those European Tour events. That's helped his cause.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson, by contrast, has not been a regular on the Euro Tour this year, and he is not in the top 32 in the rankings as things stand. So if he is going to have a chance of emulating his brilliant run to the semi-finals a couple of years ago, he's going to have to pick up some money, and it may have to be this weekend. And he could produce the big fish, because a bullseye again. This time it's missed.
Stephen require 138.
Missed start at the bullseye for a 3-1 lead, but Anderson will return looking at 25.
62. Cal require 25.
Josh Payne had to go to 25 after missing the bullseye. I think it happened 4 times in his eventual defeat by Rodriguez. Single 9 is found, no bother, double 8s. Inside for double 4 for 3-1.
17. Stephen, you require 76.
Could have been closer than this, Bunting. Doesn't matter, gets 2 darts anyway. Lovely
Game
stuff, really nice. 14 darter for the bullet. Levels this game up at 2 apiece.
Game on.
Right, you mentioned the Josh Payne game. Yeah, bullseye finishes are hard, naturally. You don't expect to get them all, but if you get 4 chances at them in a game and none of them go,
100.
then you are going to give up opportunities. Kyle Anderson showed in this very venue that bullseye finishes, if you can take them out, can be the difference between winning and losing against even the best player on the planet.
140.
He beat Michael van Gerwen with 3 of them. He's taken out a bullseye checkout here. And it may get him the victory V that puts him through to face MVG.
100.
Oh, that is superb. You can see Kyle Anderson, he didn't even have the grip right with his second dart, made sure he got it right, followed it, and then the third one, simple as. 180 number 2 for Kyle
60.
Anderson. We know he's a big scorer when he gets going.
There's just something a little bit different about Kyle Anderson tonight. I can't really put my finger on it, but he just looked to be a little bit more settled, a bit more relaxed.
93.
Oh, I mean, they're both playing well. They're both averaging, well, one of them's averaging almost 100. Kyle Anderson's averaging almost 105. I know we're only in the 5th leg of this contest, but this is better than we've seen all
86.
month from Kyle Anderson on the World Series events. And make no mistake, it would have been hard for Kyle Anderson to come back to Europe. He spent some time with the family, some precious time with his family and his kids, who he doesn't get to see a lot.
Oh, Triple 17 was miles away with that one.
24. Stephen require 155.
Bit of a messy visit for Anderson, but he may well get away with it. Bunting looking at 155. Anderson still primed and ready for a break of throw for a 3-2 lead.
90. Cal require 64.
1 break apiece so far. Anderson looking to break again.
Yeah,
Game shot on the 5th leg. K.Anderson.
very, very good. 14 darter. The break straight
on.
back. Bunting hitting with a 14 darter and a 2-dart checkout of 76. Anderson hits back with something very, very similar. A 64 checkout and 2 darts for a 5-visit.
45.
Highest average we've seen so far today was 101.71 from Dimitri van den Berg, aided by 75% on his doubles. Now, at the moment, Kyle
41.
Anderson is threatening to do something similar here. But he's being pushed by the bullet, who's averaging up towards 100 himself.
$82.
There's a spell on the Euro Tour a few years back where Stephen Bunting kept running into Ian White, and they always seem to have classic games where it was just 100 averages from both of them, and it was a bit of a coin toss about who came through.
60.
It'd be nice to see one of those rivalries develop on the Euro Tour over the next few weeks. Christoph Ratajski and Peter Wright had a spell a couple of years back where they seemed to run into each other and throw ridiculous numbers.
I mean, you've got 4 tournaments, well, certainly 3 tournaments in very quick succession, consecutive weekends.
100.
So I think that might lend itself to a few repeat encounters, maybe.
Certainly, and as we're approaching the end of the European circuit for 2019, with places at the European Championship up for grabs,
98.
each week that passes, some of those games are going to become more and more significant. You play each other 3 weekends running in April, it's different.
140.
Yes, you might have tournaments like the match play to
136.
qualify for. There will be things riding on it, but it's much more immediate right now with the European Championship at stake. He's going to leave himself tops here, Anderson.
96.
Yeah, the reason we'll have these
Stephen
potentially
160.
repeat encounters is the fact that the seedings remain the same. So number 9 always plays number 8, for example. So there is a greater chance that we will have these repeat encounters
100.
over the course of the
40.
first 3 weekends of August. Well, late August into September. Not quite sure what's going on over there. There's a darts match going on stage, though.
Game
And
shot on the
Anderson
6th
has
leg.
taken charge of that match on stage,
7 leg Stephen to
and he
throw
leads by
first.
4 legs
Game
to
on.
2. Very neat and tidy again on the finishing from Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson paying no heed to the blossoming romance between Obelisk and Princess
100.
Peach. Neither should he. Probably wants to sort out his lingerie, though. Nobody needs to see that.
100. $100.
Stephen Bunting trying to shut out all the distractions from behind him.
$57.
A scratchy leg, this one.
45.
57 backed up by a 45 from Stephen Bunting in reply. Big visit here from Anderson. He could really take charge on this Bunting throw. But the first dart is not the required product.
81.
Shake
the
the
head,
head from
yeah.
Bunting tells his own
45.
story as well. It's a close run thing, this 7th leg. 52 between them. And again, Anderson has the chance to really step on the gas with a big visit here. Just strays the wrong side there.
Yeah, moving over to the 18
129.
sensibly. Gets the treble, but had he had the single, he would have left the 170. A shot that he's already had a pop at and missed the bullseye.
98. Calvin Carr 134.
Treble 18 tops, 2 treble 17s for double 16. You've got options. And he went for the former and didn't work out.
94. Stephen Carr
However,
113.
having taken tops before, he's in position to do exactly the same again. Tops though for Bunting instead.
93, can
And the
require
purse lips
40.
tell you that he was some way off the target there, and Anderson returns looking at double 20 for a break of throw and a 5-2 lead. And it's Kyle Anderson's match to lose now, 5-2, and looking very, very strong indeed.
Kyle through first.
In the main, the finishing has been very strong indeed by Kyle Anderson. Okay, he missed a couple of bites there, but got the job done in the visit. And he's throwing now first for a 6-2 win.
Yeah, and this would complete the second round lineup. Michael van Gerwen, of course, the world #1, awaits the winner of the last two World Series events, winning in New Zealand and the second one in Australia. Still not playing his best, though. I don't think that's really put to bed some of the concerns about MVG's form. Darren Webster takes on Jeffrey Desvan in the same little section of the draw. In the same quarter, it's Dave Chisnell versus Dietmar Berger. Ricky Evans against Kirk Shepherd. Staying in the same half, Peter Wright versus Dimitri Vandenberg. What a game that could be.
100.
Joe Cullen will face Luke Humphreys. Darrell Gurney takes on Roby John Rodriguez. And imagine the noise here at the Multiversum for that one. And that's just from Roby John, let alone the crowd.
59.
And Johnny Clayton versus Mike De Decker, the Belgian, in the second round of a Euro Tour event for the first time this year. Other half of the draw, Ian White's the top seed. He takes on Rusty Jake Rodriguez, with the winner taking on Nathan Aspinall or Keegan Brown. Mensur Suljevic will be here. There is rapid Ricky Evans. You'll see him tomorrow, being carefully stewarded by his effective carer.
He's threatening one or two surprises, by the way, Ricky Evans, for tomorrow, just to throw that out there.
Yes, I dread to think. But Mensur takes on Adam Gavlas, and look, he could have a surprise or two, because if he played like he did today on his Euro Tour debut, the 17-year-old could spring a surprise here in Vienna. Steve Beaton and James Wilson clash. Adrian Lewis returns to Euro Tour action against Christian Bunser. Michael Smith versus Cameron Menzies, as Stephen Bunting puts in a 180 to try desperately to keep this game alive. Leaves himself 68 to break. Gerwin Price against Brendan Dolan, and Simon Whitlock, the wizard, takes on the Dutch destroyer Vincent van der Voort.
83, Stephen requires 68.
Well, that final dance has hampered Kyle Anderson. It might all be academic anyway. Stephen Bunting has checked out with 68 to trim the deficit to 5-3.
Game on.
Well, what we did see at the World Match Play, of course, was Stephen Bunting able to put spells together where he'd win. Oh, one in, one out. It's late night rules down the nightclub.
Well, I don't know about putting spells together. He's been casting spells there, or somebody has been casting spells against him. That was desperately unfortunate.
Well, one of the reasons he uses these points, and there's been a lot of talk
65.
about points of late and boards. I mean, these points, they're very good. They've got some decent grip on them, but they're not super aggressive or anything like that. The one thing you would say is that Stephen Bunting throws a 12-gram dart, and that one's caught a bit of a flight, I think, but even so, you would expect it to stick in. But Bunting, he throws a 12-gram darts. Even with the force he throws them at, it's difficult to get a lot of that point in the board. No problem there, though. 180 number 2, and is Bunting going on one of these spells?
Well, he's certainly made up the lost deficit, hasn't he?
134.
Drops on the floor just a few moments ago. He's down to 256. This is on the Bunting throw.
$138.
In position to turn 5-2 into 5-4. That looks precarious. He may well switch. No, he stayed
60.
there.
Stevie
Saw it wobble, but
118.
Well, not the right way to go, Stephen. Come on. Come on. I know you're a former world champion, but
58.
silly play.
Well,
59. Stephen, you're
we'll be thinking about the next leg already here, because Bunting's looking at 60. Just about found its way into that top corner. Double 10.
40.
Well, you can afford to miss those ones, Stephen, but you cannot afford to miss when you return, because Kyle Anderson should be on a finish. The question is, what kind of a finish? And the wheels have come off K.Anderson here. First 5 legs of this game, he was averaging nearly 105. That has plummeted by 13 points.
Game shot on the 9th leg.
We have had an abundance of matches going the distance today, especially in this evening's session. 4 on the spin, in fact. Humphries against Hughes, Schneer, Brown, Decker, Doby, Rodriguez and Payne. And who knows, we might be in store for another one here as well.
100.
If Bunting can win this leg, he becomes the favourite for the first time in this match. Went 2-0 down, 4-2 down.
137.
5-2 down, in fact.
Yeah, suffered that early break, didn't he? And Anderson looked to be in a very good place when he had that 1-2-7 checkout. Just think about that missed dart at the bull for Anderson in the 4th leg. Had he converted that, it may well have been a different story.
98.
Yeah, but irrespective, he still managed to put himself 5-2 up, and then it's just fallen apart for him. And Bunting has helped make it fall apart by putting him under more pressure, because Bunting's average has been hovering
96.
around the mid to high 90s right the way through this contest. It is K.Anderson's form that has dropped off a cliff as he's approached the finishing line. There we see.
96.
96 leaves 170.
Complete reversal with the averages. Bunting has left himself the big one. Anderson on 205. Needs to make a big impression here.
Good look at the ball. No, decides to stay there. Gambles, it's paid off. Leaves him 65 for the match, unless Stephen Bunting can produce the biggest checkout in the game, and he might just do it. He might just do it. Wants the ball. Oh, you might not have seen a better shot all weekend, but he can't find it. And is that the end for the Bullet?
It could well be. That was a brilliant attempt by Stephen Bunting to keep himself going in this Austrian Darts Championship, but as it is, K.Anderson is looking at tops. He's taken it out already today. His finishing, well, it's gone off the boil a little bit. He needs to rediscover his touch here, and he does rediscover his touch. And K.Anderson comes through. A bit of an ordeal in the end against Stephen Bunting. It was harder work than perhaps we would have imagined at 5-2. Bunting, to his credit, did come back. Both players conducting a bit of an inquest into the state of the board there, maybe, given the number of bounce outs and the points left on the floor in the course of that one. But Stephen Bunting, finalist in Prague at the end of June, will be going no further here in the Austrian capital. However, K.Anderson just showing signs of life once again on the European tour, and he goes through to face Michael van Gerwen once again in this arena. Those two will meet in the second round tomorrow. That completes your lineup for the second round schedule tomorrow. Join us from 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for the second round action. That's when the seeds join us. That's when the world #1 Michael van Gerwen will join us. Plenty of other big names in the frame as well, and we'll do it all again tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening here on PDT TV.
Stephen Bunting und gratulieren sehr herzlich zum Aufstieg in die nächste Runde, K.Anderson. Kyle, congrats and welcome to Austria, not Australia. Our country is very often mixed up with yours, if you know that. How do you like it to play here in Austria?
Look, I haven't been here for a while. Last time I came here, I think I played against Michael van Gerwen on this stage. So look, I've had some trouble with doubles, so I'm trying to figure out what we can do from there tonight. That went okay. I mean, tops helped me out a lot tonight. So
what do you think about your performance, and what about your plans for the tournament?
My performance was okay. I believe I can do more, but my focus was on doubles, and I believe it worked good tonight. Steve missed a couple tonight, but look, if I talk about that, then I think my doubles were okay. So I'm going to go with that, run with that, and hopefully tomorrow night I can go better.
Also die Performance war okay, er freut sich in Österreich zu sein und wir freuen uns, ihn morgen wiederzusehen. Thank you very much, see you tomorrow, K.Anderson.